Hey, welcome to Horns Up. I'm Animesh.
And I'm Peter.
And wow, we are coming to you live. Oh my god, we are back holding mics in our hands. Holy shit, what is this special occasion?
I think it's called Freedom, Animesh.
Freedom? Why is it called Freedom? I thought you'll segue into this because we are back in the presence of one of India's biggest metal stars ever, making his, I don't know what number appearance, first of the year.
Yeah, I mean, first this year. But yeah, I think that's one of the things, right? Getting Sahil Makija on the podcast is reason
it warrants, yeah, and
us
that too
to
in
meet
his own space. He's welcomed us into his own space.
Yeah.
Oh my god, this feels like privilege.
Is it, Sahil?
We're two Indian men with a podcast. Three Indian men actually.
Yeah, but two Indian guys with the podcast.
Two Indian
And
guys.
one
No
guest.
way. Yeah, but you also have a podcast, no?
Not yet.
Oh, not yet.
I don't have a podcast.
You used to have a podcast.
I used to have a video cast before podcasting became a thing.
Damn.
It was 15 minutes of Indian metal news on YouTube.
Exactly. See, before Horns Up.
Before everybody.
You are a trendsetter.
Well, if you want to call me that, I'm not going to complain.
But, we're sitting a day before actually your album release, and congratulations on that. I mean,
Thanks.
Animesh and I have had the album for a couple of months now. So, first of all, how does it feel?
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It feels normal now. It's like, yeah, cool. It's coming out tomorrow. I guess tomorrow when it's actually out and once the fans are actually listening to it, that's when it's going to kind of hit. I think right now it's just like, yeah, okay, it's the end of today and there's going to be a video premiere in 2 hours of the new single, the 4th single, and the album will also drop on Spotify and everything at that time. So I guess that's when the excitement kicks in, when I get to go on Bandcamp and click release now.
Okay.
I think that's when it really hits.
What are you expecting?
I'm going to expect that nobody listens to it and nobody's going to care, because then whatever happens, I will be happy at the end of it.
Okay.
So I'll prepare for the worst and just be grateful for whatever comes my way.
First of all, let's get the album title, etc. out. The Propaganda Machine.
Yeah.
Right? First question. Who is the great dictator?
I think the great dictator refers to all the right-wing world leaders currently who are either in office or have just been elected out of office. I think it covers all of them really, and it covers those in the past as well. It's a universal title you can slap onto anyone who you can see trying to go down that route.
What made you want to write something about right-wing leaders and the entire machinery that kind of they bring?
I think it's something that's been brewing for quite a while actually.
Yeah.
Like globally also, like I think ever since 2014, once they banned my favorite food, it was like the battle is on. The gloves are off now. Shit's about to get real. But I think ever since then, like just I went to the UK, Brexit was happening.
Yeah.
America had their whole.
Yeah.
They have their own thing, and then there was the
Brazil,
Russia
Russia
as well. Of course, closer to home, you all know what's been going on.
Exactly.
So all of it has just kind of been on my mind, and it's something I think I stopped posting on Facebook about politics and stuff because I guess this became my outlet for that, and this felt like the right place to do it for me, to say what I wanted to say, because I think, tweets and Facebook statuses are all well and good, but I think as an artist, this is my best way to put it out. Like,
So is it right to say this is a political album for you?
I think it's a political album for everyone who hears it.
It's weird, and I'm glad you said Facebook and not posting, because I remember the initial posts that you had, and there were always these common friends or people that we knew from India, seen at gigs and stuff, who would actually be critical of that. And it's been very strange just to see actually the propaganda machine in action in there. How do you kind of deal with that? I mean, like, in terms of music, segregating it from what we're dealing with in real life actually.
I mean, at some point you're not really separating it. Like, we are dealing with it in real life, and we're actually, going out there and doing what we do. And we've gone for protests. We've gone and tried to make a difference by voting, by doing what we can, by speaking up about it. I think earlier, it was just, I felt more strongly about it, and I wanted to say something on Facebook. But then as you go along, you kind of realize that you're mudding the waters for yourself as an artist, not because you'll offend people, but just because then people are not focusing on the music. So I think for me, it's more about, let me take what I want to say and put it in the art that I want to share with people. I'd rather offend them with a song than spend time on Facebook writing a angry status message every day, one that's only going to destroy my mental health. Because it's not that I have an issue with people disagreeing with ideologies or things I say, but that constant like trolling online and then trying to argue with people, and we all know how the sort of right wing operates. It's literally like they open the IT floodgates, and then there's like a whole troll army will descend on your Facebook or Twitter, and it's the same copy paste message and the same BS thrown your way. And then at the end of the day, you're like, okay, I'm gonna make this a private status for my friends only, and then you're like preaching to the choir. So I mean, that's not really doing anything, and you're just messing with your own sort of mental health. So I figured like this was for me the ideal way to sort of put across what I want to say along with my art.
So, playing devil's advocate, do you expect people to hear the songs and come at you?
I think they've already done that from previous albums also. I think on the 2020 EP, there's a song called Systemic Failure, which basically was talking about how, if all the systems in place are designed for, the minorities to fail, or for people who are in lower position in life to not be able to step up because the system is designed like that. And I got called woke metal and all.
Wow.
Which is, I found very funny. But I think metal has always been woke.
Yeah, metal has always been woke.
I mean, not counting the white supremacists and the Nazis, but largely metal has been a genre of woke people.
There you go, Sahil Makhija introducing a brand new audience to metal.
But I want to go back because I think, what was it? Mid last year, you kind of slowly started sending out the feelers saying, you guys have no idea what the fuck is going to hit you all and stuff like that. And then eventually we found out it's going to be the propaganda machine. Take us like the timeline, because from what I have figured out in whatever messages you've put out and kind of drawing a line, this album has been recorded or written for a while now. So if you could just kind of build some of that for us, that'll be great.
Yeah, so I actually started working on this album as soon as I finished The Last Reptilian Warrior. So 2018 is when that came out. So in 2018, I had already started writing riffs, putting songs together. I'd already started assembling a lineup.
Okay.
I think I wrote to Hans Grossman, James Payne. Those were the first two guys I wrote to. And then I think Sebastian. And I started sending them the songs, and it's actually finishing the rest of the lineup along with finding the fourth drummer, then figuring out the bass players. And in between all this, while I'm waiting for files to come in, that's when I started working on the Holocene Termination.
Okay.
So about 2018, 2019, I think I was done with these 8 songs as basic skeletal structures, and I had sent them out to the drummers, and I was just waiting. So while waiting, I was like, this is going to take a while. And I think I hadn't finalized on Ken by that time. I think I was in talks with a few drummers, because everyone has touring schedules and things like that. So I had not locked in Ken, I think. And I was like, I can't have another drummer on this. So I'm just going to start writing some more stuff. So I said, I'll do 4 songs, do an EP. That's a good thing. I sent those out to drummers. I figure Eugene, Robin Stone, Simon, and Christoph. And then I was like, this is also taking a while. I think by this point we were in 2020, the beginning. And I was like, I don't think the EP is going to come out this year. Neither is that album. So I was like, I'm going to do Demonstealer solo, like proper solo, nobody else. That's why in 2020 and This Too Shall Pass came out. So I think I wrote that around May, June. By July, it was with Hertz Studio. By August, I was ready with it. August, September, October, November. So December was the release. I think by that time, I started to get bits and pieces of the Holocene Termination stuff back, along with this album as well. But then I was focusing on finishing up the Holocene Termination. So again, the next year, 2021, and somewhere in between all this, I did that single with Mohini Day and Geo Banks also.
Yeah.
And then the Holocene Termination was scheduled for release in December 2021. And then I think by the beginning of 2022, I had all the drums in place, 2 EPs out. And my goal was to finish the album in 2022. So 2020, 2021 and 2023 3 releases, 3 years. But then it took time because, figuring out the bass players, everyone's schedule, mixing, is the studio free? The funny thing is the artwork was ready. The artwork was ready since 2020.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Before I did either of the EP artworks, this artwork was ready and sitting with me. So I didn't have to worry about that, but I had to wait to get all the files from everyone. And finally that happened. Studio got free. And then it was like, it's too cut to cut. And we've already put out 2 EPs like in December. And December's not the best time to put out an album.
Yeah.
So you know what? Let's just do it in March. And I'm glad I did, because then I managed to, get in touch with Black Lion Records. We signed a deal and everything worked out for the best, I think.
Okay. Hold on to the thought for Black Lion, because I want to come to that. There's a separate discussion I want to have with you. But looking back at the entire thing, right? Because literally, when you're talking about this is no less than like a project manager's job. And in addition to that, you're also having like, you yourself have performed on this. Is there anything you would have done differently?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm a kind of person that never really looks back and says, I wish I had done this differently. Even though when people ask me that as a standard interview question, the only thing I ever say is, maybe that first Demonic Resurrection album, I would have tuned the guitars a little better and maybe recorded the guitars stereo. But I think everything that you do is a sort of step in your journey. And I mean, there's no point looking backwards. Obviously, there are things I will take going forward, the volume. The main work actually is coordinating with all the musicians. That is a harder part than anything else. Coordinating, getting the files, working around their touring schedules. I was a bit lucky in the sense that the pandemic had slowed things down. But now if I work on a project, it is going to take, again, a lot of work to kind of figure out whose schedule is what, because if they're touring musicians, then they're busy most of the time. So it is definitely challenging. But I think the pandemic just made it a little easier because everybody was stuck at home.
I think I made this comment to you, Animesh, when I first got the album, is that, in my opinion, this is the most Demonic Resurrection sounding Demonstealer album. And I think when I was listening back to it and thinking why I made that statement, it has to be the introduction of keys throughout the album. So how did Annabelle become part of the album, and tell me about that?
Yeah, so I've actually known Annabelle for quite a few years now. We met in the UK at one of the conferences, or she's also, I think, seen DR, and we just generally been like friends. And she's always said like, I'd love to do some stuff together, like let's work on some music. So when she knew I was doing the album, she said like, if you want to do anything, keys, vocals, let me know. And I don't know, I just felt like, yeah, you know what, let's just bring her on board and see what she can bring to the table and see if we can add some dynamics to the album. That was literally it. Like I said, just hear the songs, do whatever you want, and let's just see where it goes.
So there was no plan. Was it the plan the entire album or just one song and then?
I mean, I figured it would be in bits and pieces. I guess the difference from DR would be that this is not a symphonic death metal album. So the keys don't need to be there everywhere. So I said, look, wherever you feel like, keys are required, you put it down. If I like it, I'll keep it. If I don't like it, I'll mute it. And she was cool with that. So like the third song really just has one keyboard part in the chorus. So we picked and chose where it made sense, I think that was pretty much it. Yeah, we just kept it straightforward. Like if it sounded good, we kept it. If it didn't sound good, we let it go.
Let's play a song over here. Which song best represents the album and why?
That's a difficult question because when you have like 4 sets of musicians, because I paired the bass players and drummers, it's hard to say which one defines the album because each has its own identity. But why don't you go ahead and play the song The Art of Disinformation?
Okay, and why did that song jump at you right now?
Well, it's going to go live in 2 hours. So, but I also think it is a song that kind of really represents the way the world is right now.
Okay.
I think it makes sense in the context of the world we live in today. I think musically it's a good song, and I think it has the catchiest chorus on the album.
Okay, here you go. The Art of Disinformation.
Paint the world black and white.
We're still here with Sahil Makija, aka Demonstealer. That's what I realized we didn't introduce him in the start with.
Yeah, right. We did. We just didn't. We just
said
skipped
Sahil
over it.
Makija.
The
But
people can read, hopefully.
and we just heard a track from the Propaganda Machine. Now, since I brought up Black Lion, right? We're sitting right now in your home studio, and I think one of the few times I've actually visited you before an album release, and there's absolutely no merch or CDs here. So how does that feel?
Oh, it feels so good, man. Like no unsold CDs, no unsold T-shirts. That's been one of the good things over the last couple of years is that I don't have to see those anymore. I'm really glad this deal with Black Lion worked out. So at least that saves me the headache of having to go to the post office and ship stuff out and basically do the things I don't want to do.
But you'll still get the flack if people don't receive the right size, etc.
I don't get flack, but people definitely do message me to say, hey,
Yeah.
listen, I ordered, it's not reached. And I'll say like, okay, so if you've ordered the t-shirt from Red Wolf, they have a number, just please give them a call. They'll sort you out. If you have any problem, copy me in the email and I'll connect directly with them. So, but luckily, like, I think these days, most companies have their shit down. So
Yeah,
there's
they do.
no stress, and like Red Wolf is running like a super tight operation. Black Lion Records is also very well known. They're well reputed. So they're using, like the best shipping companies. They have distributors. So there's like all of that is pretty well sorted. And similarly for the other merch stores that I use, print on demand, Teespring for international merch, they pretty much supply merch for like most of YouTube. So
Yeah.
they're all sorted operations. They've got their customer service helplines, hotlines, email addresses, and they sort things out pretty quickly.
Okay. So with all this additional offloading of sorts that you've done, and congratulations on it, do you end up getting a lot more free time? I'd assume so. And like only with reference to the music part of what you do.
Not really. Like,
So
the
what
thing
do you
is,
occupy the time saved on?
in probably emailing all the musicians on the album, getting details from them, say scheduling like when we. So the thing is, when you do stuff on your own and your DIY, even when stuff gets offloaded from you,
There's always
there's
another
always
thing to
something
do.
that's filling the time. Like I'm editing now reels. I'm editing like for each track. There's like 4 clips that I'll make. Then there'll be like 2 formats for each clip that I'll have to make. Then I have to upload it on 4 platforms. Tag the accounts, then message them, say, hey, this collab request is coming. If they don't know how to do the collab request, I need to then tell them, okay, listen, so you go here, you'll see this, click approve. Like I'm literally like doing that. So if you pass off work to somebody else for one thing, you definitely something or the other comes back. So like I have my PR handle now, but like the interviews are like, man, I'm sitting for like 1 hour and writing answers, or I'm doing phone interviews. So this time just goes, man.
And there's no band member to say, "Arey, why don't you do it?"
Yeah.
and stuff
There's
like
no
that.
band member here that I can say like, why don't you interview one of the other guys in the band? No, the other guys are not around for this.
But okay, since we talked about PR and stuff like that, right? And we were having a chat last night, and you said literally that there were like 10 reviews that came in there. Do you still read all your reviews and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I think every musician will read every single review, every word, even if it's. I can't imagine musicians not reading reviews.
Oh, you'll be surprised.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like I just want to know what people think of it. I guess maybe when you're a super huge band and you get like 1,000 comments on your new song, and you get like 200 reviews and you're on the covers of magazines, yeah, maybe then you got to pick and choose which ones you can read. But I am not at that level, so for me every review is like super important. And I also make an effort to share it, even if it's not the most glowing review, because I'm like, whatever, they took the time to review the album. This is a little bit I can do for them too.
Okay, so to add some more context, in the last 3 years since you've put out so much music, What's one thing that people still get wrong when writing reviews or stuff like that?
I think calling Demonstealer a band. Basically, I think a lot of people don't realize it's my stage name and that it's a solo project. They still say band, or I think with this album, there's a lot more clarity now. I think after 3 albums with like solid PR over it, like, okay, he's Demonstealer. This is his solo project and he gets musicians on board, to kind of play. I think that's the main thing that people didn't get earlier.
So I joked with you about this, but let's set the record straight. How much do you love Obscura that you ended up getting all ex-musicians from Obscura on the lineup of the album?
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like, that was one of the things. Like, I'm like, yeah, everyone's from Obscura at some point or the other. I think Obscura definitely is one of my top tech death bands. And yeah, it's actually kind of funny that I'm literally like, I think between Demonstealer and even DR, now I've literally gone through all the Obscura members. Like even David Dipole has done songs with me earlier, and he's done songs after being in Obscura also with DR. So yeah, I don't know. I guess it's just those are top quality musicians. You have to be of a certain level to play in a band like Obscura. So yeah, I guess maybe next album I can hit up Christian, the guitar player, to see if he'll do a solo. Maybe their bass player now.
Yeah, Raphael.
No, that's the guitar player who also quit, and he's in Obsidious. Wow. And Linus is also in Obsidious with Sebastian.
Now you know Sahil's keeping track.
Alrighty. You mentioned guitar solos. That's one thing that we don't actually hear a lot of on the album. Any particular reason? So you got so many guests. Why not let them play solos too?
I run out of budget, yeah. so like,
okay, so let's dumb this down for people. Does a solo cost more? Is it like, if you see a rate card, will solo like be plus extra for?
Yeah, so here's the funny thing, and I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but the funny thing is the drummers are always the cheapest and they have the most amount of work to do. And I'm shocked at how much bass players and guitar, and like it's I think the less work you do, the more you charge, because bass players also have to record just one track. Like,
Correct.
drummers have to set up a kit. They have to have reasonably good heads on it, which costs a lot of money. They have to put up like multiple cameras, especially for my stuff, because I asked for footage as well. So they're putting up cameras. They do 2-3 cameras at least. Bass players have to record one take. Like one take, one track, one camera is enough. But they're more expensive. And guitar players are even more expensive sometimes. And they have to do like 30 seconds. Which is even less work in terms. I mean, I'm sure I'm gonna like guitar players will be like, oh fuck you, we have to like compose all these notes and all like.
Hey, but drummers have to do their. In fact, drummers lifting,
again, like
man.
I said, it's more. They've got so many more fill-ins. They've got so many grooves, patterns, blast beats, accented blast beats.
Is it because drum patterns these days are so easy to create?
I don't know.
Digitally?
I don't know why that is. I feel like it has to do with just maybe there are more drummers in the extreme metal space who are available as sessions artists.
Okay.
That because till that last part I was like, whoa, I didn't realize. But then, okay, fair. Especially with extreme metal, right? Like,
yeah, there are a lot of guys. I mean, there are a lot of drummers like who play like crazy fast and crazy tight, and like, I mean, you can just see the way bands themselves are going through like drummers. Like, bands like Benighted have changed like I think 3 drummers in the last few years. I mean, even Flesh God has had drummer changes, and they've Obscura also, and they're finding replacements and who are just as good, if not better sometimes, so there's definitely no dearth of drummers. I don't know why it is. I guess maybe because also maybe I don't know. I don't say anything that'll get me on the news chopping block.
So
a lot of angry bass players and guitar players like, Sahil, we're not playing on your next album.
So was the idea of not having any solos or anything of that sort only a function of price?
No.
So what's the idea? Yeah, what's the idea behind that?
I think that's just how I write music. Yeah, like when I'm not working with a band, I've always written a little bit differently than if I'm working with DR. In DR, I know we have a lead guitar player. So there is always space created. It's there in the back of my mind also. Even if I'm not actively thinking that, oh, I want to put a solo in this song. I know that we have a lead guitarist. There's going to be a solo going to pop up somewhere. But when I'm writing solo, I'm not thinking that, oh, there's definitely going to be a guitar solo here. I'm just writing a song. And if in that song I find like, okay, this space here feels like I could have a solo, I'll then look and see if it makes sense. But I'm not going to like force a solo into every song if it doesn't need it.
Do you have any guest musicians who were vocalists?
No, I think that's the one thing I do pretty decently. I don't know. I think like for me the importance is drums. Drums is priority.
Okay.
Because I can't do those drums.
Yeah.
Bass I can play, but I'll just be following the guitar. Like I can do bass for a metal album. Like I've done it on the new stuff.
That you have. Yeah.
And nobody will know. Nobody will care. But I also do enjoy the playing of these musicians and what they bring to the instrument that I will not be able to do. I'm sure there are those with vocalists, but as a vocalist, I guess I'm more confident than I am as a drummer, bass player, lead guitar player. So I think maybe that's why I don't really go for guest vocalists. Also money. I think vocalists are the most expensive, probably.
Weirdly enough, I was going through Fiverr one day just to see what it takes to hire random people. And vocalists were the easiest ones to find and the most affordable too on Fiverr.
Okay, so I think I have to state that when I'm looking at musicians, I'm not looking at their price per se. I'm looking at who do I want to, who's my dream collaboration. And most of those guys are out of my budget.
I get
so
that.
Like if I want, if I am going to have a vocalist on the album, I'm going straight to Beyond from Soilwork. Like I'll want him for like a clean chorus or like a couple of sections, and he's definitely out of my price range right now. And again, for me, it's like if this album sells well and I not just break even, but I make some money over it, then I know that, okay, next album I can spend more because there's potential to earn it back. So I can actually go ahead and incorporate like these musicians I've been like dreaming of working with,
Okay. The other interesting thought, and that's just because you mentioned guest vocalists. So I forget the song, but one of the parts reminded me, like I wish somehow Burton C. Bell had heard this album because his voice would have fit perfectly on a few of these songs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think Burton C. Bell is one of the vocalists I sort of grew up listening to for clean vocals, and Fear Factory was one of those bands where I fell in love with the heavy versus clean singing. Before the metalcore genre came in and took over that whole thing. But I love Burton C. Bell's voice, and I would say a lot of my singing is sort of taken from his style and his melody choices and things like that. Like I'm as much as I love like Blind Guardian and Camelot, I don't think I have that range and that style and ability. But I would say Burton C. Bell's vocals are kind of more where I fall into as a singer.
It kind of like that influence definitely shines through on some of these songs. I distinctly remember, I think it's on the second song. That was one of the highlights for me. It sounds like essentially Dragon Force-esque game.
Wait. Yeah, I think
it's the ending of the song.
I honestly
messaged you about this part also. I think it is one of the singles, but I was like, what instrument is that? And I think
that's the ending of the song where they basically go. So that's the bass first, and then the keyboard joins in. So it's like a jugalbandi.
Yeah, I think I distinctly remember. I think that's a single, the first or second single that you...
First single.
The first single, because that's where, I think, before I got the entire album. So that's why I was like curious as to which instrument, because by then you had already announced all the musicians, right? So you could figure out what was doing that.
So let's just play that song out right now, because we are just doing... yeah, for people who haven't heard it yet, it's called
Monolith of Hate.
Here it is, Monolith of Hate. Okay, so that was Monolith of Hate. That was the first single, which was released.
I think in Feb.
Wow.
No, in Jan.
Jan. I
In
think
Jan.
Okay, so since then till now, have you been doing pre-orders?
Yeah, the label has been doing pre-orders. I have no idea how many have sold, and I'd like to keep it that way.
Damn.
I'll wait.
Okay,
I'll wait
fine.
6 months for
That's-
my statement.
Let's keep sales aside. What about interest? What about stuff like where are your listens coming from for the singles? Is it still predominantly like does India factor, or is it still predominantly Europe or America?
No, so India obviously will factor. I think it's somewhere around 4 or 5 or 6 somewhere on the list. I think USA.
That's good.
Yeah, I think USA is my primary listener
Market.
base. Yeah.
Okay. And do you then deep dive into those numbers? Do you like get to see male female ratio, age, demographics, etc.?
I can see it, but I don't really pay much attention to it. I learned a while back that the more you look at analytics, the more depressing it is. So I'd rather just I let the agency handle it now and let them do the ads and check the stats and see who's responding and redirect things there. I think in the past I've overanalyzed and overlooked at analytics. So this album, I'm actually happy to not be looking at it. I mean, obviously I do look at it and I do see it, but I try to let it just be what it is.
Are you seeing any patterns anywhere with your listenership data?
No, not
does
particularly.
it peak at if you do one kind of song versus the other?
No. I mean, I don't go down to that level, and I don't even know how to actually break down the analytics to tell me which kind of song works over the other. I don't know if I can actually pull that data from what I have. I mean, I just look at it as, okay, I know that I make sure that all the songs are uploaded well in advance and I get a chance to pitch to Spotify. And if all goes well, we'll get on a Spotify playlist and we'll see a surge in listeners and plays. That's like the best way to be discovered.
Okay.
Yeah,
and go ahead.
No, and that's interesting, right? Because I know you did post recently that you managed to get on one of those playlists. And just for musicians who are tuning in or those who are not in the know about how that kind of works, what's the impact you've seen in the short time that you've been featured on playlists and stuff like that?
So it definitely gives your listener base a boost, and you definitely do get some new followers and listeners. But I think honestly, all this stuff is just adding a little bit more to what you're doing. It's not going to make you a superstar overnight or suddenly change the tide of your career or anything. I think that really comes down to the music itself. I think if you are a band that's hitting the market in a certain way, if you're able to connect with listeners, I guess the best examples are Bloodywood, Sleep Token.
Oh yeah, Sleep Token.
These bands have just blown up. Token. I know. But even I was
Polyphia is the new one.
Oh yeah,
Polyphia has been around for a while.
Yeah,
now.
I know. 4 albums.
Yeah, again, they did see all these bands have done something with their sound that was not done before.
Exactly.
And they've connected with
absolutely,
people.
Absolutely.
Even Sleep Token, I heard one song, I was like, oh, this sounds pretty good. Then I heard another 2 songs and I forgot about it for a few days. And everywhere I saw it, then suddenly I put it on one day on Spotify, it popped up or whatever, and I just heard it once. I was like, man. Then I think I looped it 100 times. Then I went and listened to all the Spotify songs of Sleep Token. It's just suddenly I'm a fan. And then that guy from Lorna Show also, Will Ramos, he did a cover.
He did a cover.
Yeah.
I was like, that's when I actually went back and I was like, oh, I listened to that song about 100 times after his cover.
I think that kind of worked. That's how I ended up approaching Polyphia. I got it recommended, and it makes for fucking excellent music to work along to.
Oh yeah.
But that's about it.
But see, Polyphia, I actually got into I'd say a month ago, because I was on a flight. The in-flight entertainment system was not working, and for some reason in my YouTube downloaded videos which I could watch, the song with Steve Vai was there.
Oh dude.
I looped that 150 times, I think, and just kept freaking out on it. Came back also, I went through a lot of their songs. But that album, the one with that song, the rest of it didn't really grab me. But that one song,
So
I was sold
I have
on
a
that.
confession to make on this, right? Because I watched the video for it, And
Same video on
so
the
if
fly.
you've seen the video, have you seen the
I
video?
haven't
Animesh?
seen the video.
So, okay, sorry, I'm going to break it
That's
down for you,
okay.
but I think
Yeah,
you've
yeah,
heard
yeah.
this song.
I've heard
There's
the
a
song. Yeah.
There's a part in the start where Steve Vai comes in, and I thought that was his solo. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, you get someone like Steve Vai and he just plays like 15 seconds. And then when he actually is like sitting on the throne and
Yeah.
playing that part I've looped like so many times. Because that's like proper, like if you're into that shred and all of
Yeah.
that. But I don't know, like, I mean, while you enjoy listening to it, I find sometimes that music too busy. There's too much stuff happening to do while working. So I prefer more like, you know, droney things that kind of get lost in the background. But I do can understand like why someone would kind of want to listen to Polyphia. But
Yeah.
I mean, going back to what you're saying, right? I mean, and I want, since you've been around, and I'm sorry I'm aging you at this point,
It's okay,
but
I'm old.
but we've all known each other since we were teenagers. Let's
Yeah.
put it at that point,
Yeah.
right? How have you kind of seen just adapting to this entire thing, right? Like, again, to give some context, I remember meeting you when the first DR album released, and you were packing, I think, all the box sets and all to. We're sitting today a day before your album release, and you have nothing. You're going to just hit a publish on Bandcamp. How do you kind of see this entire shift that literally has happened in there, man?
I mean, it kind of did happen before in a way, at least like when we had the deal with Candlelight and then with Universal. So I mean, I've had moments where I think for me it's like, for me personally, I don't think it's like a completely upward graph of progression. For me, it's more like it went up and then it went down and then it got somewhere in the middle and now it's just like floating along. I guess in 6 months I might have a different story of where I am, but I think, I mean, I would have liked a better evolution if I had the opportunity, like to just keep kind of growing and growing and growing. But you know, that's not how life generally works. So sometimes you, some bands I think can do that, and some bands just kind of have to go up and down and round and somehow just survive whatever you're doing, you know, and you just keep doing it because that's what you like to do.
I mean, let's be honest here, right? And we've had lips on the podcast before. Sometimes it just takes a documentary to kind of like alter your entire
I was
career,
literally trying to find out what the budget for a documentary would be so that I could maybe for the 25th anniversary have some kind of sort of thing made for like DR, you know. Maybe not exactly like the annual documentary, but
that's not.
but maybe between a cross between the annual documentary and like the Cannibal Corpse Centuries in Torment one.
As long as you didn't say some kind of monster.
You know, I wish I was in that position where I had that much money and those many problems because of like where you can still run a freaking corporation like on that buck, you know, like
Yeah.
I'd take that. That doesn't sound too bad. And for people who say money doesn't matter, yeah, you know what? When you're sleeping in $100,000 mansion and you got a $10,000 mattress, oh yeah, you sleep comfortably.
Okay. Existential crisis happening here on Hornsap.
It wouldn't be a Demonstealer podcast without.
Yeah, right? It's so weird. Okay, cool. Which then reminds me of something that we were discussing the last time you were on the podcast. When I think I was in a funk. I don't know if you remember that chat. You essentially ended up telling us that with your other side, which is the Headbanger Reads side, right? You told us, I remember you saying this, that all of that was a way secretly to get people to listen to your music, right? Is that still the case?
No, it's not, because that evolved into its own sort of beast, and that doesn't stop me from pushing the music on there. It doesn't stop me from giving those people a chance to know that I have a band, but I don't. That's not the reason I do it anymore. I do it because people watch that. It became my job, and I'm just basically trying to make a living now.
Okay. So has that become your niche of sorts? Have you now been, earlier the Demonstealer used to be the face of the Indian metal scene for like however you may cut that statement, but that was clearly an association that most people made
100%.
in popular media. Definitely. Today, has that association changed to, hey, here's the guy who loves to cook, does keto, and eats a lot of meat, and you know what, happens to play metal? Is that your niche?
I guess that is how most people will know me beyond the metal scene. Like if it's someone from the metal scene, they still know me because of Demonic Resurrection. But beyond that, if I'm walking on the road, it's more likely that somebody will come up and say, "Hey, I used to watch your keto videos, man," and less likely that they will say, "Oh, Demonic Resurrection." Though both have happened, but that's only in Bombay. But like.
I have to say, right, and there are two separate anecdotes. I think I've told you at least one of these, but a family member in Goa watched Sahil's keto videos and said, "Oh, y'all are so lucky in Bombay, y'all have access to all of this." And I'm like, "You're on keto?" And she's like, "Yeah, I watched this guy, Headbanger's Kitchen." And I'm like, wow, this is like a really small world where, literally family knows friends of yours through something else and has no idea about the music connection or stuff like that. And I think there was once also I was in a cafe and the memory is fuzzy, but literally someone referenced Headbanger's Kitchen saying, "Oh, by the way, I watched this," and stuff like that. And for me, that was the moment where I realized exactly what you said, right? Like for most people, they'd probably know you from the recipes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that too, again, I've seen Headbanger's Kitchen also take like a complete evolution, more from the ketosis side than actually the early stuff where you used to make and I'm going to say it, I know you've had it, the bacon bomb.
Bacon bomb.
Yeah. Those were good days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sahil.
So again, this question might be offensive, so just throwing that out there. Does it did it ever bother you, or has it bothered you, or do you think, or does it bother you now that Headbanger Eats is more popular in a way than Demonstealer or Demonic Resurrection, which is a niche still?
No, actually it doesn't. I think that was never an issue for me. Like I think it was very clear when it happened, like this audience is not a metal audience, and it's not an audience that you can convert into a metal audience. So there's nothing to do here. It's like this is how it's going to be. Like at the end of the day, food is more accessible whichever way. And I was on the keto wave when it was picking up, so I filled a space that existed online when it came to recipe videos. And I mean, it was never going to be. Would I like my music to be more popular? Sure, of course. Who wouldn't?
Yeah, who wouldn't?
But at the end of the day, this is what I did. It's what I got known for, and it's the way it is.
But do you view that as your job, and do you view your music as your job too?
No, I think I changed my attitude a while back, where I realized like music is just my expensive hobby. At some point, even the thought of breaking even just left my mind. I'm like, this is just an expense now, and I make money doing whatever else I do, and that just funds and fuels this. Some people will go and do scuba diving, or they'll go trekking, or they'll buy fancy experiences.
80,000
whatever, there are many
80,000 ke joote hain ye.
buy gear, clothes, whatever. I mean, everyone has their own hobby.
Yeah.
Some people build model planes, whatever. Mine is making music, I guess. And I think that takes the pressure off me to have it reach a certain level of like popularity or sales or whatever. Obviously it still affects me that what the end sales will be, what the plays
of course,
and listens are. But I'm not like I've invested everything into this now, and why isn't it moving the way I want it to now? It's more like, what, if it goes somewhere, it goes. If it doesn't, then it's fine.
Okay, so to start wrapping this up, then a couple of questions which comes back to the propaganda machine. First, is what you said the reason why there was no crowdfunding campaign for this particular album?
I think I just got exhausted of it also. It's very exhausting to crowdfund stuff. And also the last two EPs, I crowdfunded a reasonable amount. Like I think it was $2,000 for each of them. And the last one, Holocene Termination, actually cost me like 4,500 to actually put together.
Yeah.
And I don't think I have broken even on that. So this one cost me closer to $10,000. I was like, crowdfunding $2,000 is one thing. Crowdfunding 10,000. Even if I did like what I normally do is I look for 50% of what I actually need, because that you can realistically achieve. The rest I can put in maybe through sales over time. It will eventually pay back in some way, which I have done. I've broken even on all the early albums. But the task of 10,000 or even 5,000, I was like, I don't have the strength to get on Facebook every day, post a countdown, post new content, like message people individually. Like, it is a lot of work.
Yeah.
I'm already coordinating 14 people on the album, plus a record label, plus PR, plus so I was like, I just don't think I have that bandwidth to do it. So I'd rather just put it out. And like I said, I made that peace with it that, maybe this is just an expensive hobby. I'll just close my eyes, put the album out, and well, I don't pray to anybody, so I will just be like, hope shit goes okay.
Well, at least Sahil didn't pull a Winter Sun, just saying.
I would never, I think for
he
me,
would never, man.
No, I'm just saying.
But that's the thing, for me, that is the most important thing, is delivering on stuff I promise. So I did crowdfund food stuff. So with Headbanger Eats, not Headbanger's Kitchen, I crowdfunded Burger Wars.
Yeah, correct.
If I'm already crowdfunding there, again, it's not that it's the same audience, but crowdfunding is a lot of effort, man. And like that same effort I could put into actually working on the project itself, And again, if I had like a huge team and I could just it was autopilot, then it's a different story. But I'm always crowdfunding much less money than I need. So I figured I just need a break from doing that.
Okay. Which brings me to my final question. Is all the music that you end up releasing at the end of the day only for you? Because you need to get it out, you have this need to write music and release it? Or
I guess I write for myself at the end of the day. I'm not looking at trends, I'm not looking at what's going to sell, I'm not looking at what is going to appeal to a kid in the mosh pit or what's going to appeal to a listener at home. I'm not even trying to break any mold of metal and try and do something that's path breaking, and I just write songs I would like to listen to that are in me. Like if I want to say something, I put it out in music, and it's stuff that I'm going to want to listen to. I like my own music. I'm my number one fan. Probably.
That's a good one. That's actually, I'm glad you at least admit to that, right? Because a lot of people are like, I don't know. And
no, there are some artists for whom it is they want to get it out of them, and then they don't want to they can't bear to listen to it. They just needed to get that out. For me, it's like I want to get it out so I can listen to it, So I think maybe the day I write stuff that I don't want to listen to, if the shit will take off,
Or for all we know, Sahil has an entire album of cheesy power metal or something that he doesn't want.
I actually don't have. If I had it, I would have put it out by now. That's the thing. I actually, for once, don't have a lot of stuff in the bank for anything coming up.
Okay, you kind of preempted my next question.
Yeah, I mean, I normally have a whole bunch of stuff. Like right now, I've just got a bunch of riffs over the last 5 years that are saved on some random Instagram stories and sessions on the computer. But there's no 8-9 songs ready for either DR or Demonstealer. It's just empty. It's just, this was it.
Wow. And does that worry you, or?
No, I just think it's the amount of work I'm doing. It's okay to take a break, I think with age, I'm just giving myself time. I'm not the 20-year-old I once was who would stay up till 6 a.m. just writing songs furiously, Now I got to go feed the dog.
Damn.
Now this is, if this was a movie or if this was a life story, whatever, what will happen? Your viral moment for music will come in the next 1 to 2 years.
Or someone will kidnap my dog and I'll go on a killing rampage and metal musician slaughters underworld.
No, man. But honestly though, I think, this is why I enjoyed chatting with him, and with Sahil and just spending time, because it's the integrity with which he approaches stuff. And this is, I'm blowing complete steam up your ass, etc. So
It's just
enjoy
like-
it.
It's like enjoy, bask in this.
Horns
Bask in it.
Real talk between musicians. But no, I mean, I have to say, right? I mean, like, when I'm actually thinking about it, I mean, I bought the tank top, which of the new album, which I've realized is just a snug fit. So, time to hit the gym on that. But yeah, I don't know. I think the only reason I did that because I started buying the mugs for the other stuff. But I think I pretty much own most of your discography, which is insane. Come to think
Yeah.
about it.
Same here. Good.
You are collectors now.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
that
right.
indeed we are.
Yeah, because I had like at least the last 2-3 mugs, and those are nice because I was like, wait, I drink coffee, mugs, and it's kind of fun also to see my family like walking around with like this mug, which indescribable.
And that's why I like to invest in artwork. No, I like to
Huh.
get good art so that even like, I mean, most of the people who buy it are people who like the music, but it's got to feel like, yeah, I want that artwork on a mug or I want it on a t-shirt. So I like to put, a lot of money behind good artwork. Not a lot of
And-
money, as much as I can afford.
All right.
And right on cue, here's your moment to plug all of that.
Not much to plug. Go listen to the new album. If you have the money, buy a t-shirt, buy a CD, buy a vinyl, buy a tape, buy a digipack. We have all the formats available now thanks to Black Lion Records. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Enjoy the music and drop me a comment on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, what you thought of the album. And yeah, thanks.
For us, it's the usual, hansapod.com, or on Twitter at hansapod. I'm on Twitter at Asbuani.
I'm at Trend Crusher.
And yeah, let's do this together, guys. 3, 2, 1, horns up.
Horns up.